Hello, 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 and welcome to this live video. My name is Nduta Wambura. If you are joining me right now, please leave on the comment section where you're joining in from, what questions you might be having, and so that we can get started. If you cannot hear me, please also put in on the comment section so that I can adjust my microphone or so that we can communicate today. Let me know where you're listening from, which course you're trying to even apply for. Let me know what questions you want from this session so that I can address each and every one of them. So my name is Nduta Wambura. I'm the Erasmus country representative for Kenya, and I would like to hang out with you today because do you know what? Erasmus scholarships would be opening very, very, very soon. In fact, we already have one of the scholarships that has already opened. And that's the reason why I decided, you know what, let's have a live video, another live video, because I can really not keep up with your DMs about Erasmus. Every single time there's always a question coming up. There's always a concern, there's always an issue. And one of the issues that I have noticed of late is that everyone is trying to find out how to navigate through the catalog. And most people always say that when they go to the catalog, they feel lost. And I totally understand you. And that's the reason as to why I decided to have this live video so that we can clear these doubts, hopefully once and for all. This video is going to remain right here on YouTube so that you can rewatch it just in case you begin your application and you get lost again. I would love for you to come over here back and just check out and see whether you can be able to follow through and then complete your application. So if you're listening to this, if this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe, share this video with someone, and of course, feel free to interact with me. And if you're listening to this and you just don't know what exactly is Erasmus, Erasmus is a European Union funded program that usually supports education, sports, and other various projects, really. And one of them, of course, is Erasmus Mundus joint master's programs, which would be opening for application anytime from now all the way to February. Just to make it clear is that not all programs will open at the same time. This is something that I have said over and over and over and over again and over. Like, I cannot stress this enough that, you know what, all of the programs, each and every program usually has its own deadline. So it's not to mean that all programs will open in October and close in February. We do have different stipulations for which you need to pay attention to the program website of your choice. So depending on which program that you're eyeing, you could be eyeing one program, two programs, three programs. There's really not a limit now of the number of programs that you can apply for, as long as you meet the criteria of these programs. Okay. So welcome to this video. Really, I want to hang out with you and answer all your questions and see whether we can be able to actually crack even half of them, because yeah, I had to close some of the DMs. So this is your session. Feel free to write in the comment section. Let me know exactly what you would like to know. So like I mentioned before, Erasmus Mundus joint master's programs would start opening for applications sometime from now, so October all the way to February, and it is open for anyone across the globe. So there's no limit of whoever can apply for these programs. There's also no age limit. As long as at least you are not at a retired age, then you can definitely be able to apply for this. You do need to have an undergraduate degree. And I know some of my listeners come from Nigeria and they always ask about HND. Some, and I will insist, some programs might allow you to apply with a HND. However, they might also require you to have some extra stipulations, some extra certifications, some extra diplomas. So what you can do, if you see on the catalog that there is a certain program that you're interested in and you would like to apply for it and you're not quite sure whether your HND from Nigeria, so that's higher national diploma from Nigeria, is sufficient, then you can send an email to the coordinating institution of that program and ask them whether you can actually apply using a HND or you need another certification. That needs to be very, very clear, because this has been a recurrent question, whether you can apply with a higher national diploma or not. However, if you have an undergraduate, then you do definitely qualify. If you also have a first master's, yes, you can apply for a second master's as an Erasmus. I personally did that before, and I applied for my Erasmus as the second master's. And so this means that you definitely need to just pay attention to the eligibility criteria to be able to see, one, the deadline of each of the programs, the requirements of each of the programs, the email to request for any questions, request for waivers, request for any type of clarifications. They are on the program website. That I cannot stress quite enough. So welcome to this session. This session is definitely about navigating through the catalog. And also, I will answer each and every question that you guys will ask today on the comment section. So that's why I am actually inviting you to interact with me on the comment section. If you're listening to this much later, also leave your comment. I will address it for sure, and we can be able to have a good session in this case and be able to iron out all the questions that you might be having. So allow me to share my screen so that I can be able to actually speak about the catalog, because that is the most highly asked question about Erasmus. So now I will go ahead and do this. So allow me to do that. Okay, so let's see. All right, and I will be able to navigate. I'm sorry about that. I need to share in a different way. All right, so I mean, I am so excited to see all of you being excited about this application period, because, you know, it is very exciting, for sure. It's very exciting. And, you know, the thing is, for Erasmus, it's fully funded, 100% fully funded, and you can be able to study in at least the minimum, the very, very minimum. Some programs I've seen is that you can study in at least 2 universities in Europe, and to the very maximum of even 4. Some programs actually incorporate even an extra internship, for which you can even choose to go to another different country. So that is a very, very good thing. So now, if you can see my screen right now, you would see that I have the Erasmus Mundus catalog right here. And this is the only official page that you ought to trust for any type of website for you to be able to apply for a program. So I have seen quite a number of fraudulent websites out there saying that they would help you to apply, they would help you to go ahead and maybe you know, do an SOP for a fee. Please do not fall prey of these websites. And I cannot stress that enough, because you will go ahead and pay, and then somebody will claim to guarantee a scholarship, and that's not the case. Erasmus itself is as competitive as other scholarships out there, whether in Europe, whether in the US, in Canada, Australia, China, name it. It does not matter, because they are as competitive as those other programs, and you need to have an individual effort for you to be able to actually apply for these programs. I'll tell you that for free. I will not sugarcoat things and tell you that, hey, you know what, someone can apply for you and you can get it. No, it's not even a guarantee when you apply the first time that you will get it. I personally did not get my Erasmus until the second application. So there's that. Okay. Now, when you come to this catalog, and I'm going to leave this catalog once again on the comment section so that you can be able to also follow through. Now, when you come to this catalog, you will notice that there are 163 programs enlisted on this catalog, right? And these 163 programs, let me just send this on your comment section so that you can follow through with me if you are following on the you're using your computer maybe. And yes, so this is something that you can be able to view. So give me 1 second here. Just going to, all right. All right, so you can see I have posted the catalog on your comment section, so you can be able to actually follow through that catalog as I proceed. So what I was trying to say here is that we have 163 programs on this particular catalog. However, you would tell me that, hey, you know what, Nduta, I studied business. And when I come here, I would like to continue on my business studies and perhaps do an MBA. So in most cases, you find people coming right here and they just type MBA, right? And when you type MBA and then you search and then you wait for it and nothing shows up. And you're like, okay, there's nothing to do with MBA. I cannot study MBA in Utah, so what should I do? Perhaps you then try, you say, maybe I will try finance and see what shows up. So you try finance and perhaps you see maybe 1 or 2 courses or even nothing, right? And then you'll come to my inbox and you'll be like, oh, Nduta, you know what? I can't see any courses that actually cater to what I would like to study. And I 100% get that. Because what you need to do, navigating through this website, using the keywords would be very limiting for you. And also using the countries that you would like to go and study in would also be a little limiting. Like you can see here, these are the countries, all the countries that are participating in all the Erasmus programs this particular, it could be this year, it could be for the next year, depending on the agreement that has been done on each and every program. So using the countries would also be limiting. Also the ECTs credits would also be a little limiting because again, this is a European credit system whereby you can be able to actually see each and every program usually says either you need 120 ECTs or 90 ECTs. I don't want to get into that because that's another whole subject. But also using the ECT credits would also be a little limiting, as well as also the universities. It's also good to check the universities because, of course, you might have some preferences that you would have personally, and that's okay. So you can come here and choose which universities that you would like to actually go to. And of course, now, for example, if you say that maybe I would like to study in the Netherlands, so maybe one of the universities that you would like to participate, for it to participate would be the Erasmus Universiteit in Rotterdam. So that way you can end up in the Netherlands. Perhaps you would also want to have another university, maybe let's see, any other random university. For instance, in let's see, maybe in Germany. So you say, for instance, this university is in Berlin, so Germany could also be another choice of yours. And also maybe you say that, hey, I want another option. I will be biased in this case and maybe say Instituto Politécnico de Lisboa because this is in Portugal. And then now when you search, I just want to show you that this can also be a little limiting. When you search, you will only get those programs for which Erasmus University Rotterdam the Humboldt University in Berlin, as well as the Instituto Politécnico de Lisboa are participating. So which means that you would only have either the option of international masters in rural development, perhaps that's not something you want. You would also have local, you would also have new Erasmus and play education, toys and languages, and also a master in translational cosmetic and dermatological sciences. And then you'll be like, you know what? I don't really get these masters. I honestly don't like either of them. So this is not working for me. So that's why I was telling you, using the filter for the universities can also be quite limiting in terms of the number of scholarships that you can be able to find on this particular catalog. So what to do now? Because now you have come here, you've tried the keywords, you've tried the country, you've tried the ECTs, the universities. Then what I can actually recommend is not to go even to the year of project selection. The one way that can be very helpful to you is selecting the field of study, because all the courses for Erasmus are actually categorized into different fields. So for instance, here we have different categorizations. So we have chemistry, we have economic sciences, we have environmental and geosciences, we have HIS, I believe it's history if I'm not wrong, information science and engineering, we have IT, law, life sciences, mathematics, physics, social sciences, and humanities, and so on. And I believe this should also be literature, if I'm not wrong. I should check that once again. So here is where now you think about, what do I want to study? So for example, you tell me that, hey, you know what? I would like to study something to do with, say, law. Okay. So law would be easy. But I think I will stay with the business, because the business is quite a very, very common question that I get all the time. So, so you say, you know what? Let's check on the social sciences and humanities, because usually in most cases you'll find that business courses would be within this category. Some of them might be enlisted in different categories, like the economic sciences as well. So in this case, I will recommend clicking on those two and seeing which courses show up on this catalog. So here you see that you have found 64 courses. This might be overwhelming for some. It might be a good thing for some. So if you see that maybe 64 is quite overwhelming for you, you can remove one of these categories so that you can be able to navigate through. So I would say, you know what, let's go through all of them. And I will begin maybe with the economic sciences. So I will remove the social sciences for now and see the economic sciences, how many of the courses show up. So at least a number of 16 is easy to go through. So you would come here. Remember, you're trying to find a course in business that you can actually study, right? So we will go through the 16 of the courses and see which one really is close to what you would do. So perhaps governance and leisure and sports might not be the thing. Let's see what else can be here. Maybe Erasmus Mundus Master Impact Entrepreneurship would be something that is of interest to you. And before I can go on, I would like to bring to your attention some other very important aspects of this website. Is the fact that each of the courses, you will see the main name, which is, for instance, let's work with this first one: Governance and Administration of Leisure and Sports International Master, right? So that's the full name of the master's program, okay? Now below it, and this is actually a link. So if you click on that, it will lead you to a different link that we'll talk about just now. And then right below that, you will see goals. So goals is the acronym of this master's program. So each and every master's program will have an acronym. So for instance, when you hear us talking about goals, when you hear us talking about EMMIE, JMPMB, these are acronyms of Erasmus. and Erasmus Joint Masters Program, I must say. And they are very crucial because, you know, when you are finding maybe your group, or perhaps you're finding a social circle, this would be something that you can actually use to find your social circle. And you know, it's a thing that we also make fun of when you come in and begin your studies. Everyone will ask you, which is your program? And then you'll be like, my program is goals, my program is DC lead, my program is AMAS, and so on and so forth. Like, those acronyms are quite difficult to master, but however, this is a good thing to also note. So there will be the acronym, and right next to the acronym is the website, and the only website where you should be applying for your scholarship. Okay. And then from there, you have the project locations. So the project locations would be the countries for which the universities which are participating are located. So for this program, we have university in France, Portugal, Lithuania, Poland, Luxembourg. And in some cases, you might find that these project locations may also include where you might be in a position to do an internship, or you have a sort of a certain program that is going on in that country. And some of them might also have what we call tracks. So which means that you might not end up going to all of these universities. You might have a track, for instance, maybe this is an example. You might have like one track starting from France, going to Portugal, then to Poland, maybe another track starting in Portugal, then to Lithuania, to Luxembourg, and so on and so forth. It is very course dependent. So it does not mean that all courses have tracks. Not all courses will have, will have you going to all these countries, and so on and so forth. Now, going back to this first website, you find that this first website is where you are able to find the abstract of the program. So the abstract, why is this important? Is because it will give you a quick overview of the program, and it will also tell you something that is very important: the coordinating institutions as well as the participating institutions. And it would also be very helpful to tell you that this program is whether it is active or not, and whether when it might stop their funding. Of course, there is a provision for them to continue if they apply for another funding or they renew it, depending on the course, again, depending on the coordination and all these kind of things that you have to put into consideration. So now, when you come to this website, this first website, it will give you an overview of the program quickly. And then, you can be able to see if, for instance, you're not able to apply for this year, perhaps maybe you can apply for the next year, and so on and so forth, because like right now, we do have funding that is running from 2021 all the way to 2027. Okay, so this is the website that you get when you click on the main name of the master's program that you're interested in. Now, when you click on the link that is right below, this is the link that leads you towards the application page. So, for instance, for that program goals, here is the one and the only website that you need to use when applying for this program. And I hope that is very clear, because there's a lot of fraud going on. So please make sure that the websites that you get are actually verified, and they do have a .eu. When you check the website, make sure that it has a .eu, and also make sure that it's also enlisted on this catalog. If you are unsure, you can obviously just also send an email to the program and see whether the program website that you're using is correct or not. I hope that is very clear. Now, I want to go back to our business search. We were searching for a course, if you remember. We were searching for a course that you could do if you're a business student, and could actually suffice for you. And we had already put the economic sciences as a filter. Now, one of the programs that I had noticed was this one, Erasmus Mundus Master Impact Entrepreneurship. Like I said before, the program website that you need to use is this one right here. And the project locations are right here: Belgium, Lithuania, Croatia, right? And then maybe you keep going and then you see this one also, Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree in Economics of Globalization and European Integration. That could also be interesting, right? So you come here and also click on it. You see the project locations as well. I will do maybe another one. Let's see, Global Development Policy. You have Masters in Rural Development. Let's see. You also have GLOCO, one of my most favorite programs. So perhaps you can also check that. We also have something to do with models and methods of quantitative economics. So I guess I will just click on that and stop there. But if you scroll through, you can also find something to do with economic policies for the global transition. And the list ends right there. What I will tell you for sure, if you're a business student and you're trying to do an MBA, you will not quite find, there's actually no program, an MBA program that is running under Erasmus currently. So what you would need to do is to find another course acronym that actually might connotate to exactly what you might want to be up to in the future. Okay, so now, like I said here, this is going to lead you to the website where you can actually apply. This is Erasmus Master in Impact Entrepreneurship. And we have 3 destinations in 6 months. So for all Erasmus programs, usually the program goes for 2 years. So which means that for these 2 years, you are going to have 4 semesters, and 4 semesters could be 6 months, or some of them could even like be 3 or 4 months, depending on the course, really. So for this one, it says you have Croatia, Belgium, Lithuania, 3 destinations, 6 months. So perhaps it could be like you're going first to Belgium, to Croatia, Belgium, then Lithuania. We can see about that. So what do you need to check in each and every one of these websites? So the first thing first is on the homepage, you can get quite a number of things to look out for. One of them, for instance, on this website, it tells you very clearly that the applications for the 2023 cohort will open in November 2022. Like I said, each of the programs have their own deadlines. So if you're interested in this program, then you would need to wait until November 2022 to be able to apply for it. So what can you do right now? We are talking about this in September. So you would have October and November, October actually only, to be able to, prepare for all the documents that you actually do require. So what can you do in that case? You can navigate through this website to get to know, 1, the program description, whether it's your program or not, right? So in this case, you would come here and see what exactly would be taught in the detailed program of this master's. So for example, you'll see first semester, you're going to study these courses. So marketing research, business simulation, financial management, and so on and so forth, right? And I know you guys have questions. So screen is not clear. Oh, my screen is not clear. I didn't know about that. Okay, let me see. So please tell me whether my screen is clear from now, because I have tried to stop sharing and I am sharing once more. Okay. Excuse me. So like I was saying, here is about the courses that you can be able to actually study in your first semester, your second semester, your third semester, and of course, your thesis. So now, if this is something that is of interest to you, then you can proceed to read through the program, and get to know how to apply for this program, the admission criteria, right, which is very important. This is something that you also need to check out. And of course, like for example, this program says that it is open to individuals of all academic backgrounds, so it does not matter, and all nationalities. So, you must be present on site and in person for the full duration of the 18-month program. And you must have an undergraduate degree. And also, it gives you the selection procedures as well as the indicators that they might be using to choose the people who might be eligible for the program. So now, when it comes to November, you would be able to actually click right here and be able to apply. Of course, do the registration and so on and so forth, because right now they are all closed. So what you can do in this case is when you read through the application and see what exactly they want to get from you in terms of the documentation. So for instance, right here, the following documents will be required to complete an application. One of them being a sworn translation into English of your passport and your birth certificate if available. So in this case, if you do not have a passport and you're listening to this session, like I always say, this is something that you really, really do need to get. You have a photo ID format, a current resume in English. Please use the Europass CV format. And this is very, very important because some programs might tell you that they really do not mind whatever the type of CV format that you have. However, it is recommended for you to have a Europass CV format. And this is something that I have spoken about in a previous video. How to put in your CV in a Europass format. It's quite easy. I've shared also a template of the CV format on the Erasmus Kenya page, Facebook group, excuse me. So you can check out that and see whether it's something that works for you. And again, what else do you need for this program? A personal motivation letter in English outlining why you're interested in this program, why you. And if you look here, maximum 2 pages. So do not write 3 pages or 4 pages when they say 2 pages here. A copy of your high school diploma with a sworn translation in English into English, if especially it was not in English. And all these requirements that are needed for you to be able to actually apply for it. So now what you need to do is, if you're interested in this program, is to start preparing for all these documents that you need ahead of time. Now, one thing that I also want to mention here is if a program is actually asking for an English language proficiency document, for whom English is not their first language, for instance, this is something that you can actually contact this consortium, ask them that, hey, do you know what? Is it possible to get a waiver? So where do you find the contact? They're right here or on the contact section of this website. Again, only email those contacts that are enlisted on all the program websites. So now you can be able to email to this email right here so that you can be able to know, hey guys, can you provide for me a waiver? And I can provide a letter from my university saying that, hey, I studied in English and I do qualify for a waiver. So that is something that you can actually do, and they will reply to you and tell you that, hey, yes, we can offer you a waiver, or no, we are unable to offer you a waiver for this program. Now, so that means that, you would be able to get a reply as to whether or not you can be able to actually get that waiver, and then you can proceed with your application. And the other thing that I also want to mention, and I think I will just go to another program. For instance, we have an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master in Economics of Globalization and European Integration. Actually, let me go to GLOCO, because like I said, GLOCO is one of my biases when it comes to business. And I do hope that my screen is now available. This screen is static. The screen is static. Okay. Let me see. Okay, let's see. I'm so sorry about that because I thought I was actually sharing the right screen. So if the screen is still static, that is my bad once again. So let me just share again. And I think I'm just gonna share everything. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. So I don't know whether you would be able to see it, but you should be able to see it now. But I'm just going to tweak into something here. Okay. So I do hope that you can see it now, right? Okay, so I'm sorry about that, but this is something that perhaps maybe I can also navigate later. So, okay, okay, yes, I will be checking my comments once in a while. Okay, 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 okay. All right, yes, yes, yes. um, Okay, so if it's okay now, that's good, that's good, that's good. So we are on the Global website. So I think I'm just going to say what I was saying before. So now, the thing that I was saying is that, for instance, when you come to the website for Gloco right here, then you can be able to see several things about this program. So you would be able to see, all the proceedings of the program. And for example, you can be able to actually click on the program overview, the course structure, to see whether this is something for you. So the course structure, for instance, here would give us the mobility tracks that you would be able to go for. So in this case, we do have mobility 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. What does these mobilities mean? Now, these mobilities mean the countries that you will be going to study in, as well as the optional courses that you will be taking in each and every one of these countries. So, for example, I will give an example of this mobility tool here. So this mobility tool is Uppsala University Study Tracks, EF and G. So for example, here you would be studying sustainability of welfare policies in the modern era. And you would also be modern nature's conflicts and transformation, sustainability of economic thought, and also there are some optional courses. So which would mean that if you take this track, then you would be able to actually go ahead and study these courses. However, I want to just give you an overview of the study tracks so that we can be on the same page. So here we go. So what do we mean by study tracks when you see this? So for example, here it says GLOCO is a 2-year full-time international master's degree. So the same thing that I was telling you before. Unfortunately, my screen was not showing. I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to go, I will repeat that in a minute here. So GLOCO is a 2-year full-time international master's degree, which means that you would be able to go for 4 semesters within the period of 2 years. So if you choose study track A, then the main theme of this would be global history and creative industries. If you choose study track B, would be global markets and development. Study track C would be sustainable business development. Study track D would be industrial dynamics and sustainability, and so on and so forth. And each of the study tracks will tell you which of the participating universities. So, for example, study track A would have Glasgow, Barcelona, and Rotterdam. Okay, and study track B would have Glasgow, Barcelona, and Göttingen. So, I believe this is in Sweden. So, I mean, you would have an overview of which countries you would actually eventually go, as well as the courses that you might be able to study. So, for example, like I said, you are studying, you wanted a business-related thing to study, and perhaps maybe you have a special interest in any one of these, themes right here. So, for example, maybe you have an interest in global markets and development. then perhaps Global would be an option for you, and you can apply to go for study track B, whereby you can be able to study global markets and development. Like I said before, and I think I'm just going to go back right there. I'll go back right there to the catalog once again so that we can be on the same page, guys. So we will go to the Erasmus Mundus catalog right here. And once again, please let me know whether you can see. And I hope this was very clear about the first link being the name of the website, and the link below that being the only program website that you need to actually apply for. And I will click right here on this main website so that you can see once again what I was trying to tell you before, so that we're on the same page, guys. And I will be checking these comments. Let's see. Yes, okay, perfect. Then we should be good. All right, so let's wait for this to load. And I mean, I think, this is something that you can actually also do it by yourself. So you don't have to worry about it. If you missed something, then you can just follow through. You can follow through, this video once again and try to navigate through the catalog like I was saying before. So on this main website, this is where you would be able to see an abstract of this program and an summary of exactly what is going to be offered, and the activities, the participating institutions as well. This is where you would be able to see this information, and also the main collaborating partners right there, which we already saw. And some of the programs will actually indicate the funding period. So I will find one of them so that we can be on the same page. And let's see. For example, one of the most, let's find global development policy, for example. Loading. Okay, perfect. So for example, when you come to such a program, of course, you have the summary of it. And then now what I needed to bring to your attention is this project, start date and end date, which is very important. Why is this important? Because this project shows that it began on the 1st of September 2020, and it is set to end on the 31st of August 2025. So which means that in most cases, you will find these programs will have the funding renewed. However, they might not have their funding renewed. So which means that, for example, if you're trying to apply for this program this year, it would mean that you will start your studies next year in 2023, right? And the project here shows that the end date is the 31st of August 2025, which would mean that your last application window could be next year in September, So really depends. It really depends on what the end date is. So because what I want to say is that when you're applying for this year, you will begin your studies next year, right? So which will take 2 years. Actually, this should be your last year where you actually apply for this program, because come next year, then perhaps if they do not have their project renewed, then it would mean that there would be no more window of opportunity for you to actually apply for this particular program. Okay? And I hope that is very clear. And if it's not clear, please let me know. I will definitely be able to answer those questions. Now, before that, I was saying how to navigate through the catalog, which is something that I'm sorry, my screen has been going on and off. I'm so sorry about that, the static screen. But going back, what I was saying before, and I think I'm going to just use this screen right here. Going back, I was saying that there are 163 programs enlisted on this catalog. One thing that you also need to note is that not all programs will open for application this year. Some programs might decide not to actually open for applications until perhaps maybe next year, depending also on issues to do with funding, issues to do with structure, and all these kind of things. So be on the lookout to see whether they actually have any type of starting date they have said on their program website, and so on and so forth. These are things that would be very helpful. Now, I was here, right here at the field of study, and I hope that you guys can see it, whereby I was talking about you can be able to filter using the field of study. And we filtered before using the, economic sciences. And we never went to social sciences and humanities. So it would be the same thing. Perhaps you filter with social sciences and humanities if you're looking for things to do with a business course, or if you're looking to do with things to do with law, things to do with sustainability. We also have German studies, African studies. We have intercultural relations on this same category. We also have things to do with things like clinical linguistics, and so on and so forth, would be on this category, okay? So, which means that you would really have to first think exactly what do you want to study, because also with Erasmus, you might have done one course undergraduate, and then you would like to maybe end up in another different course, just because maybe you went to the market and you are able to get some sort of experience. Perhaps you started with an IT related field, but then again you went into business, and it makes sense for you to join a certain course just because you have the experience of business within that field. So that is very, very important to notice. Another thing that you also need to notice is the fact that you do not necessarily even have to filter using this field of study. Why? Because you can easily decide, you know what, I'm just gonna scroll through this whole catalog the way it is, one by one, seeing which course makes sense for me, because that's the other way to go up around it. I know it's a long, long scroll, but hey, you know what? You usually scroll on your Facebook or your Instagram, and all the time, and you never get tired of it. So you can decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to block 1 week, or say 2 days, or say 1 day, and find exactly which courses fit me according to my A, experience, B, my background, what I also want to do in the future, and so on and so forth, and be able to find out which of these courses you would like to actually apply for. I said there's no limit as to the number of courses that you can apply for. There can be more than 3 now, and so you can find them here, and then begin to prepare to apply for them ahead of time, and so that you can hit the deadline. Now, I really, really want to stop sharing this screen because I know it's been a bit of a miss here. However, I want to interact with you on the comment section and answer your questions very quickly. And let me see. If you have any questions about it, so that I can really just share the screen depending on the question that you might have. So let's look at that. So one section here. All right. Okay, there we go. I'm back right here. So let's see the comments that you have. Ami James, thank you so much for staying on. Franklin Emeka, you ask, when is Erasmus Security and Intelligence open? Please check on the program website. It's definitely going to tell you, when is it going to open, when is it going to close, and so on and so forth. Please check the catalog, like Ami James told you there. Okay, Wamboi Wahome, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for sharing your knowledge on application of EMJM. Yes. I see you, Obed, Nicholas, Wahab. Okay, Gold Salman says Nigerian universities have been on national strike for quite a while now. It's really difficult to get my transcript since I applied in March. How safe is it to use my student transcript? Very good question. What you can do is please send an email to the coordinator of the program that you are interested in, so that they can be able to tell you whether it's possible to actually use your student transcript, prior to what, to hopefully, I don't know when your universities would be open. Hopefully they can be open very soon. I don't know whether there's a way to access your transcripts online, because also that could be an option for you. Perhaps, I'm not quite sure, but maybe these are options that you can also explore. But please send an email to the coordinating institution of the program that you're interested in, so that you can be able to get the right information about that. So let me see. Pauline, good insight. Thank you so much. Festus, thank you for hanging out. Is it possible to have multiple applications? Yes, you can have multiple applications. What I can tell you for sure is that you do need to really, really be careful about each and every one of those applications. Why? Because each of the applications have different requirements. Each of the applications have different statements of purpose requirements. Each of the applications have different types of motivation requirements, motivation letter requirements, I should say. And so you need to be very careful with all those multiple applications, because they need to connotate exactly what the eligibility criteria is stipulated on each of the program websites. And it's very, very strict right here. So you have to stick to the rules, stick to exactly what has been said on that particular website. So yes, you can do multiple applications. We used to have a rule where you would only do 3 applications. However, we can have more applications. You can have as many as applications as possible, as many as your background experiences can meet. That's what I can say. Okay, I'm sorry once again about your screen. You cannot see what I am reading. I'm so sorry about that, but please go through the catalog once again while listening to this video. It's going to be very important for you. And in fact, I've done quite a number of other videos right here on this channel, which can also be very helpful to you. But I do hope that you can, navigate through. And in case you have any questions, of course, I am very, very, very ready to assist with that. Okay. Let's see. Is there a word count for motivation letter? Is there also a mandatory font to use? Good question, Jennifer. Yes, there is a word count for the motivation letter. In fact, most of the programs I've seen, they say you need to have 500 words. So if you do more, then of course, whoever is reading your motivation letter, remember, a motivation letter is you introducing yourself to someone who's never met you and asking them that, hey, I need this funding for my master's program. So you have to be very careful in that case not to actually have so many stories about why you are, or using things to do with poverty porn, about, hey, I grew up in a very poor background. Everybody can say that. So you need to show why you. And of course, starting with very catchy statements. Of course, telling the reason as to why perhaps you have a good experience, perhaps you have had certain projects that you've been doing back in your country after you graduated for your undergraduate, that really put you as a good candidate for these programs. Again, also, please do not tell stories and stories and stories. Be straight to the point, be very concise on your motivation letter or your statement of purpose. And sometimes they also give very good stipulations about the font. However, I usually say maybe an Arial or a Times New Roman can be very useful, especially if they have not given any sort of, stipulations about the font to use. So these are some of the things that you can use. Some of the programs will give you some headlines which you need to answer to. So be on the lookout for each and every program has different ways of doing their statement of purpose. So one program might not be, one program can tell you 500 words, another program can give you headlines. So please be on the lookout for that. Okay, yes, sorry again for my screen. I've seen quite a number of comments here saying about my screen. So I really am sorry about that. Okay, all right. Okay, let me see. Is there a limited number of programs one can apply? I have already said that you can apply for as many as your qualifications actually, allow you to. Okay, let me see. What else? does one prepare for 5 individual applications, or how do you go about it? Yes, you have to prepare. If you want to, you have 5 courses that you found that you're like, hey, these are the 5 courses that I would like to actually apply for. So you would prepare for each and every one of those applications differently, because it's not a blanket way of applying for these programs. Each of the programs have different requirements, so which would mean that you would need to prepare for each one of them. Perhaps some of the documents would be the same, because like I said before, you would need your undergraduate certificate, you do need your transcript, your passport. Things to do with English certificate might vary from one program to the other. Of course, your statement of purpose, your motivation for the program would be very different from one program to the other. Your CV, of course, would also be different, because if a program is asking a certain criteria, then you would need to connotate the skill set that you have within that criteria. So again, you need to prepare for those 5 programs. And that's the reason why I decided to do this earlier, so that you can start preparing now. You need to prepare now, because you need to get your passports done. You need to get your English language certificates done. You need to do your statement of purpose. You need recommendation letters. You need all these kind of things. So ahead of time, before the application period begins. So that is very, very crucial. All right. We will move on to the questions once again. Let's see. Okay. Let me see another question here. Okay, so does publication give you an edge over another candidate? Very good question right here. Yes and no. So in some cases, you really do not need to have a publication. Some courses might actually ask you to do that publication, because, for example, if you are applying for a journalism course, then you do need to have a sort of publication, maybe a newspaper article that you wrote, or maybe a video that you interviewed someone, or perhaps you need an excerpt of an article on a magazine or on your blog or such kind of things. So for some programs, they do ask for publications, which obviously gives you an edge over someone else who might not have uploaded a publication. However, if you're talking about journal publications, in this case, you do not necessarily have to have a journal publication for you to be at an edge over another candidate for a program that is not asking for it. Okay, so you do not need to have a journal publication for you to be able to, stand out. Really, what you need to put out is why you. And why you needs to be very clear on your CV, very clear on your statement of purpose, very clear on your interview in case your program actually requests you to do an interview. Then this is very, very, very important. Okay. Let's see. Some programs demand application fee. Does it still occur this year? So we've had this discussion before, and I will tell you for a fact that the fees would be scrapped. We had 2 programs last year that were asking for a fee. This year, they would definitely be scrapping those fees. However, if you find a course that is still asking for a fee, please write to the consortium and also ask them whether they can actually scrap the fee for you. But we've had this discussion, and this is something that needs to be scrapped automatically starting this year. But be on the lookout, because some programs take time to effect the new statutes and the new things that are occurring within the Erasmus structure. All right, Caroline, thank you for hanging out. Let's see, what do you include in the motivation letter or statement of purpose? I've talked about this before. This is a video on its own, I should say, right? But like I said, remember, this is a statement that you're introducing yourself to someone who's never met you before. So you obviously want to start with a catchy phrase that is not cocky. Don't be cocky on the statement of purpose. It's good to show who exactly you are, what you have achieved, the experiences that you have had, but don't be cocky. So you want to obviously stipulate very clearly, what is your experience? What brings you to actually study this master's? What makes you a good candidate? Why can't you even study that program in your own country, really? These are things that you need to stipulate very well. So you need to structure into at least 5 paragraphs, I usually say. Be as simple as possible. You introduce yourself with a very catchy phrase. Do not include poverty porn, saying that, I grew up in a very, very poor background. Start with statements that actually set you apart to the reader, saying that, despite whatever maybe your background has been, you've been able to maybe pivot into A, B, C, D, E. For example, one of the statements that perhaps you could use is, despite going through COVID, maybe you lost your job during COVID. Despite losing my job during COVID, I was able to pivot and begin a project, perhaps maybe in your own community, that has grown into A, B, C, D, E. Perhaps you were able to gain some sort of experience from it, or some sort of financial thing from it, really. So these are things that you can actually start with, and they can set you apart. So you need to start with statements that are catching and catches the eye of the reader, rather. So these are things that you need to start with, and then of course tie that into the experiences that you've had. Actually start with the background of your education, the things that you have studied that set you apart. So for example, your undergraduate, for example, your other certifications that you might have had around your studies, as well as now tying into the experiences that you have had. They may be volunteer experiences, they could be job experiences, depending on you, obviously. And then, of course, now, what are you bringing to that program? It's not that you're just coming to take. What are you bringing into the program? What skills would you have that would be very valuable to that program? And this is something that you need to be very clear about. Perhaps maybe you have some good communication skills, and maybe you see as if, this would be very valuable to the program once you join it. So you need to check the program and the activities that are carried onto that program. You would also want to mention some things to do with the reason as to why you are maybe choosing a certain study track over another. Perhaps you found a certain lecturer or a certain supervisor whose work you're very interested in, and that's the reason as to why you're trying to get into that program and into that study track, simply because what you've been doing, your experience reverberates with what they have been doing. These are things that you also need to stipulate on your statement of purpose. And of course, ending with a statement that, someone can also remember. This is a video on its own. I've done a small video of it, so you can watch, later on this channel. And perhaps maybe you can do another one, and maybe also invite other people who've also been writing statements of purpose in the recent, past, so that you can be able to get an overview of it. Now, okay, let's see. Please, can you drop the Kenyan Facebook page for the CV format here? So you would need to join that group, and then you would see that post. I will drop the Kenyan Facebook group link right in a minute here, so that you can check it out. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes I go on and off because my internet is also not acting up today. I don't know what is going on today. My screen, my internet, and please bear with me. But all things are going on. Anyways, I'm going to answer all the questions until the very end. So hang on there. I hope you're getting some information from this. So really, please bear with me for all these kind of things happening today. But all is well. Now, I have dropped that link for you for the Facebook group. Please have a look at it, join that group, and you should be able to see that CV format right there. Please, can you recap on the student transcript for application? I got kicked out, and I think you answered already. Yes, Gold, you need to actually go ahead and request the consortium whether you can be able to actually use your student transcript. If not, I don't know whether there's a way to find I don't know, your transcripts online from your university. I don't know whether it's possible. But that is something that you can also check with your university. Perhaps, I know your universities have striked, but do this. Write to your consortium of the program that you're interested in. and explain your situation. And also be in a position, I don't know whether there's a way to go log in onto the your university's portal, whether it's working or not, I'm not quite sure in Nigeria, and see whether you can be able to get your transcripts. If not, then you would have to wait until maybe your universities come back. I don't know. I am just hoping that this is something that is going to change, hopefully in the very, very near future. If you miss this application period, it's okay. The programs will still be open, in the near future, even next year. You can also plan for next year. Again, like I said, there's no age limit, so you don't have to worry about that. So perhaps that is something that you can also check. Okay. Some programs stated clearly that we need to provide answer to question in the program website, but I didn't find any question there. Does that mean the question will only be available when the portal is open? To provide answers to questions in the program website. So yes, you would need to wait until the portal is open. Really, when the program opens for application, everything should be up and running. So if they were asking for a certain question for you to answer, then you need to wait until the application is actually really quite open. So you cannot do anything right now in terms of application. What you can do is to verify your requirements with each of the consortiums. Okay, so that is something that you need to do. So I mean, I think this is something that you can actually check out, and be able to see. I mean, be on the lookout when usually that program always opens. Okay, now there is another great question here. Let's see. It says, since Kenya is an English-speaking country, do you need IELTS? Great. Great question right there. Yes, you do need that IELTS. Sometimes, we say that, we are an English-speaking country, so we should not be having this kind of issues. But yes, you do need it because usually, if a program says no to a waiver, you do really need that IELTS done. Yeah, so you do need that IELTS done, just in case. Now, let me see. As a Kenyan, what is proof of residence? Another very, very great question right here. Proof of residence as a Kenyan is a letter that is usually given by your area chief, okay? So your area chief would be giving you this letter saying that, hey, this person lives here and here and here. Sometimes your employer can also verify, your residence, because this is not something that we have in Kenya very common. It's not a common thing to have a residence. Usually what this is because in Europe, in most cases, you will find that you're assigned a certain residential. Perhaps you're living in a certain house and you're paying a certain bill. For instance, could be electricity bill, water bill, could be internet bill, a bill that shows your name as well as your address for real. So this is something that is usually very common in Europe, and that's the reason why they talk about proof of residence. So however, when you're in Kenya, these are not things that usually occur to us. So what you can do is go to your area chief and ask for that, proof verification of your residence, or you can ask your employer to do it for you. Most employers would give you a letter saying that, you're living in this area for XYZ period of time, and they can actually stamp that for you. So yes, that is something that you need to do ahead of time as well, and see how that goes. Now, let's see something else here. Okay, my internet is, as usual, acting up once again. I cannot apologize enough today. I really honestly don't know what happened, but yeah, I mean, we've hung out quite a lot, so bear with me, and I hope that you're getting the information that you really need from this session. Okay, let's see. Does taking online courses give you an edge over another candidate? Good question. You know what? Let me tell you, you're just as good as your skill set. So the more you're edifying your skill set, the more, of course, you're beefing up your CV. The more, of course, you are showing that you're a better candidate. However, of course, depending on the course, what are the requirements? What are they looking for? It may or may not give you an edge. Again, very cost dependent. I cannot quite say that, hey, you know what, if you go on Udemy or you go on Coursera and do a certain programming course like Python, that you're gonna be on edge to apply for a course in cybersecurity. I cannot quite confidently tell you that this is what will be the missing part of your application. No, it really depends on what exactly they are looking for, how you present yourself on your statement of purpose, and all these kind of things. These are very, very varying things. So it's a yes and no. Okay. Please, can one use a general reference for many applications? Let me see. An example addressing the letter to whom it may concern without stating the names of the schools. Good question again. Yes and no. And I know I've said this a lot. Yes, it's a yes and no. So because now some of the references that you might use, actually, in this case, what really usually matters is the program, because some programs might say that, you know what, we want the email of the person who is going to refer you, and we are going to ask them to send us your recommendation. So there's that, or they have a certain portal they have opened, and your recommender needs to upload that recommendation letter there, or they ask you to, hey, upload on our portal your recommendation. So perhaps when it's like that, you could use a general reference, okay, for many applications. And this general reference, of course, could say to whom it may concern, which is rightfully so. And of course, not stating the names of the schools. Yes, yes, yes. But look at each of the programs, because each of the programs will have different ways of asking for recommendations, okay? So be on the very lookout for that. So if a program you see that is asking for the email of a certain person who is recommending you, then of course the general reference would not suffice at all, right? But if they're asking for just a recommendation letter that you need to upload, then yes, maybe you could use that general reference for the various applications. So I hope I have answered your question, because some of these questions are yes and no. It could or could not work. Okay. Lisa Ligono, thank you so much for hanging out here. Wamboi Wahome, yes, hi. All right. And we have another question here. I'm looking for agriculture related courses. Can you tell us, can you tell how the competition, or if you know anyone who shared their experience about how are those programs? Agriculture related programs are very, 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 very good at this juncture. And yes, I will tell you for a fact, yes, they are very competitive. I do have met some students who've stayed, who have had an experience in some programs actually and I think that program was, gonna just see what it was. Let me just share my screen quickly. And yeah, you would definitely have an edge depending on exactly what you have studied before. So let's see here. So agriculture, actually, usually there are very few of them. So I'll see here, for example, an example of one of them that I knew was someone took it. Yeah, AFEPA. Here we go. Agricultural, Food and Environmental Policy Analysis. And this is a very, very, very common program. And yes, it's as competitive as it gets because there are not as many. So, and as you may already know, agriculture is actually the next big thing and hot thing. Agriculture, environment, things to do with tech, and also all that kind of thing would be very, very, very competitive. But such a program, for example, it will tell you, let me see, they usually tell you sometimes how they actually pick up their students. Let me see. Application deadlines. Let me see. Practical. Okay. So let's see the requirements, because sometimes they will tell you how many students they would pick out every year. Okay. So that is also some very good information for you to know. Okay. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, maybe it doesn't quite say here, but you can navigate through to see, because sometimes they give that information very easily here. Program structure, because I cannot quite remember how many students were taken the last year. I do know that they had, I think, if it's not 10 or 11 students. Yeah, so they did not quite say. Let me see here whether they put it on their recent posts. Okay. Yeah, so here, for instance, this is just a very short, overview. So they say here that as of 1st February, the application platform will be closed, etc. Very happy to announce that we have received more than 500 applications for the intake of 2021. The per se did not quite say how many students they took here, but as you can see, more than 500 applications. Yes, there might not be as many applications for sure, because there are not so many people who are interested in agriculture or would like to actually study agriculture. But it's quite competitive because there are not so many options of agricultural courses. So I would say shoot your shot, and hopefully shoot your shot the right way. That way you can be able to set yourself apart amongst other students. There's also this is a very new program, I believe, sustainability in agriculture, food production, food technology in the Danube region. This, of course, is in Europe, in the Danube region here in Europe. So you can be able to also shoot your shot on this. I just want to see which years that this is running. So let's see whether it's actually stipulated here. Okay, Erasmus. So this might be a program that is very new, that is going to run until 2027. And yes, this new program could also be something that you could be interested in. So shoot your shot to as many as you can, so that you can be able to see. I cannot quite tell you how many students were taken, because I don't have that statistics for sure. But I think you can, just go ahead and apply for it. All right. Okay. Let me see. How do I get a TOEFL waiver letter? Guys, I told you, please listen, okay? I told you already. Send an email to the contacts of the program that you're interested in, that is requesting for a TOEFL test, so that you can be able to get, the waiver. Ask them, hey, you know what? I studied in English. Perhaps you studied English since your primary school level, and tell them that, you know what, I would request for a waiver, an English waiver test, because I studied in English. And if they say yes to that waiver, then perhaps you need to send them a letter from your university saying that you studied in English. That's it. That's all you need. Some programs will say no. If they say no, you do need to have that test. You need to do that test as quickly as possible. Okay. All right. I hold an MBA in HR from Australian school. However, the requirements for this program is that you have a degree in psychology. Can I apply and ask for a waiver from English test? Okay, so you hold an MBA in HR. Do you have the experience in psychology? Because that is also very, very important. As you know, a waiver is not as important as the experience that you might have for that particular program. But if you do have that experience in psychology, I would say yes, please request for a waiver from IELTS. However, because you studied in Australia as well, this could also set you apart. But ask before, because again, the program would want to know that you did study in Australia, and because Australia is an English-speaking country, so then you would be at an edge in this case. Okay. Concerning the email of your referee, is it normal email like Gmail or Yahoo, or place of work like university email? Very, 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 very important question. So in this case, usually most of the programs will request for that email for your referee to be an email that is official. So an email that is a dot the workplace or dot the university email for legitimacy case. So please be very careful with that. So which means that perhaps if it's your lecturer that you want for them to maybe refer you, please speak to them. Speak to them ahead of time, okay? Speak to them ahead of time and tell them that, hey, I would like you to be my referee. Is it okay if I forward your personal work email to my program so that they can contact you to offer that recommendation letter, okay? So yeah, be very careful with that, because not just any Gmail. It could just easily be you who writes your own recommendation. So no, they need a very official email as well for such cases. Now, will you know if a referee has submitted the reference letter? Will it reflect on the portal? You would need to speak to this referee. Please be very, very, don't just say that, hi, I want a certain lecturer to refer me. And maybe you've not even been in contact with this lecturer for the longest time. So perhaps you don't even know whether they did it for you. Please be in contact with them to know whether they were able to upload this reference letter for you. Yes, and yes, it could reflect on the portal, because there's a way you can say that you would want to see whether your application has been completed, in which case all the documents have been uploaded, and so on and so forth. All right. Will you conduct the mentoring sessions, review links this application round? I am hoping that I can. I have quite a lot on my plate, actually. And the mentoring section, I will definitely be working around it. I don't know how many people will be interested in it, but we really want those who are going to apply, who are going to commit to apply to be on the mentoring session. Otherwise, we will not take anyone who is not serious in the application. So that is something that you need to be aware about. Okay. After one gets the scholarship opportunity, is it a must for the candidate to go back to their country after course completion, or what can choose the country they want to reside in? This is a very good question as well. So there's no caveat as to going back to your own country. So you can easily, stay back in case you find some sort of work. Be very careful with this, because again, now you would need to speak to the immigration of the place that you want to stay and find work, and be documented in that country as a worker. So that is something that you need to be very careful about. Okay. So that is something that you need to be careful about, because you would need to change from your student visa to your work visa, which sometimes might not be easy. It might require you to have lots of documentation, but it is worth it. So yes, you can stay back. You can definitely stay back in your country of choice. Do you mind sharing the tips for how you change your application on the second application, and maybe pointers that you can look out for? If I understand your question, you're asking some tips of, when I applied for the second time. I believe that is the case. I believe one of the things that actually really set me apart was my personal statement. So the first time, perhaps, I think when I read my statement of purpose, much later, I was like, you know what, the first time I really did not do it justice. I was just putting things there as if it's a CV. But my statement of purpose, my motivation as to the reason as to why I want to do this scholarship was what set me apart. And that is the reason as to why I stood out as a good candidate the second time, because I think your motivation really makes or breaks your application, because everything else these are details that they would be able to check out and see. You have graduated with this course, you've done this type of experience, blah blah blah, etc. But what is your motivation? What is your why? And in fact, this is something that makes or breaks any type of scholarship. It doesn't matter whether it's Erasmus or Chevening or Commonwealth or whatever it is, you really do need to think about your motivation of this scholarship. So what I usually recommend is to sit somewhere, think about your life, your experiences, maybe take a piece of paper and write down, what have your experiences been? What are your skill sets? What is relevant to this particular course that you are actually applying for? Just write what is relevant to that course. Everything else, set it away, because not everything that you have done in your life is relevant to a certain application. Because again, the eligibility criteria, the requirements that they are looking for, these are things that you need to put in mind. Okay, so I would say your statement of purpose, take time to read through, have someone read it, have someone correct it. Do not fear being corrected and being told that this is wrong, should not be here. Find someone who can actually read it once, twice, and then be able to say that at least you have a certain statement that you're very confident about. And of course, connotate it to the course requirements, connotate it to the course structure, and so on and so forth. Your motivation, what is your future plan? Do you want to stay in Europe? It's okay to actually want to stay in Europe and work. Do you want to go back to your own country and perhaps continue your own projects, or maybe continue the job that you used to work in? These are things that you need to be very clear about as well. Okay, so I would say your statement of purpose. My statement of purpose is what broke me the first time. And the second time, I definitely got it right. And it's because I actually got some help from it. And with it, rather, not from it, I got help writing it. And I was able to actually get a better statement than the first time. Okay. How do we approach the seniors who are studying a certain course to guide us? One thing that you can do is go on LinkedIn, find someone who's done the course that you've done, introduce yourself very well. Don't just say hi and leave it at that. Introduce yourself very well. Request them to maybe pick their minds about the course, what they experienced. Perhaps maybe if you can request them whether they can read your CV, whether they can read your statement of purpose and such kind of things. This is one of the ways that you can go about it. If social media is your thing, then you can also introduce yourself to a potential person who's done this course. What you can do is go on any one of the social media handles of any one of these courses and find someone who might have already done this course right there, and introduce yourself to them, and request them to see whether they can be able to actually read your statement of purpose, your CV, etc., your application generally, and so on and so forth. So that's two ways you can approach those people, the alumna or alumni of any one of the courses. Is statement of purpose same as motivation letter? Yes and no. I mean, it connotates the same thing, really. It is definitely a statement of purpose is really stipulates your motivation for the course. So yes, it is actually the same thing, potato, potato. Some people might differ with that, explanation, but yes, for Erasmus' sake, let's stick to yes, they are similar things, because you're going to write why you're motivated to do this course. Remember, like I said, some of the courses will give you some very good headlines which you need to reply to, and you can be able to use that as a guide for you to be able to write exactly what they're looking for. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, so I think I have answered all the questions that are right here on my comment section. And if you have any other question, please feel free to write to me once again much later. I had planned for this to be 1 hour, and it seems we are already 1 hour 27 minutes into it. But I would like to encourage you to be on the lookout on the catalog once again to see which courses that you would like to do, and what exactly are their deadlines, what are the requirements. What do you need to do to be able to have a very good application? What do you need to do for you to feel prepared so that you can actually shoot your shot? And even if you don't get it right this time, please try again next year. If you do not have all your documentation this time, it's okay. You can decide, you know what, I'm going to apply for this next year once I have all my documentation in place. So Please take your time as well on the application. Do not just hurry through into that application. Really, make sure that you take your time through and through and through, so that you feel as if you've done a good job on the application, of course. And it takes time as well to write things to do with statement of purpose, your CV. Start now if you really do need to start now. If you're okay with being within a certain very short deadline, and you feel that you can do a good job, okay, depending on what works for you. But what I can say is, try and prepare right this minute as you hear this, honestly, so that once the application period is open, then you would not be able be in a rush towards completing that application. So I think I'm going to leave it at that, because there are so many questions. I cannot answer all of them. Honestly. I closed some of my DMs because it's hard to keep up. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. But I see one last question here. Is the volunteering type of work important for good profile? Yes. Please include it. Your volunteering experience is one of the make or break for your experience part, for your CV, both your CV and also your statement of purpose. So yes, include it, especially if you just graduated and you don't have any type of experience. Please include that, so that it can put you at a very good edge. So guys, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Please be on the lookout, because I'm going to do more videos right here on this channel. Please be on the lookout for these videos. Please be on the lookout if I have a Twitter space or on the Facebook group. And I will keep sharing more information as the time goes on. And I do hope that you got some sort of information, good information from this session. And once again, I would like to apologize for the mishap with my screen. I do hope that I can possibly do another mock-up and maybe post it right here on this channel. So please feel free to share this video. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. Once again, I do wish you all the very best, and I want to see you apply for these opportunities, because they are not far-fetched opportunities. They are opportunities that you can actually benefit from and change your life 100%. So I do hope that you will have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this back. My name is Nduta Wambura, and I wish you all the very best. All right? Bye now.